So it's D and Bone standing over this one as well. It'll be Jeffrey D to take this.
Here we see at the back post, Brandon McDonough of Georgetown organizing his defense. He's on the back post. You can see not just this moment, but a little earlier, telling them to step up their line.
D now with the right-footed service. Curled in, Miller's out, and he takes it cleanly in traffic. So Colin Miller spilling his first save a little, but has been consistent since then. Shinashiki splitting out wide to pick up possession. Gasper now into the feet of Riley.
Really like that reception there from Riley, checking both shoulders as the ball is traveling, reading the game around him, thinking in advance.
And one of the things, the other thing we heard about Asaedu was very consistent playing the ball back, not pushing the lines, not trying to break lines, not pushing the game forward. In this game, at least he's played higher up the field at times. In that moment, you see he left Cam Riley to be the deepest midfielder, at least got into the attacking half. Now he picks this one up. Pushing forward, lays it out for Shinashiki. Shinashiki clips it over the goalkeeper. It's over the line and in.
What a finish from Andre Shinashiki. You can see here the goalkeeper signaling that it did cross the line just before Leonard Hine got there. And we've heard all season about the finishing ability of the Brazilian turned Denver University product, Andre Shinashiki. And that was it. Left foot on a wet surface, just lifting it over the keeper and using the skip of the ground. That was elite awareness and elite technique to put Team X up 2-0.
And you see once again, Asaedu picked up possession. Another turnover at the base of the midfield as Team Nemeziz tried to build out. This time, rather than taking it himself like Riley did, lays it off for Shinashiki, who shows why he scored 28 goals this year in college soccer. So now Team Nemeziz once again trying to build their confidence and get back in this one. About 10 minutes left to play here.
And it was another tough moment from Jeffrey D giving that away. But I do want to point this out. One player in the middle of the field last year who struggled in the combine was Ken Krolik. And I use the word struggle with an asterisk, because what Krolik did is a little bit like what Jeffrey D is trying to do. He tried to get on the ball. He tried to play the right way. He wasn't shying away from getting the ball in tough spots like that when you're getting off your center backs. Now, Krolik, as I said, didn't have a great combine, but did have a good rookie season. He was probably fourth in the Rookie of the Year ballot by most measurements for the Montreal Impact and had a bigger impact for his team than a lot of players in last year's combine.
An impact for the impact?
I was trying to find another word.
Ended up starting 18 games, though, appearing in 24 games. For an MLS rookie, that's massive, especially in a team that has Cypher Taider, a DP in central midfield, and Samuel Piet, one of the future players, one of their building blocks. And as you said, Krlicki ended up getting 24 appearances and 18 starts.
Yeah, so it's not just the final product on these plays. Jeffrey D made 2 bad turnovers there that did lead to goals, but coaches are noticing his willingness to get on the ball. They're noticing the fact that he's trying to link the defense to the midfield and understanding that sometimes you just have bad days. You don't want it to be on a combine day, but it happens. But they are taking note of the smaller pieces, just like they did on Ken Krolicki last year. And Ken Krolicki did end up taking advantage of the opportunity he got in Major League Soccer.
And you mentioned, talking about Asaedu, the chaos that is a combine game and how sometimes it can lend itself to a defensive midfielder because they blow up the play. But for a player who thrives on reading play, anticipating the play, seeing the structure in the game, this may be the worst performance they would put in as Akeem Ward cuts in. Can't get on back on the end of that one because there is no structure to the game. And you're never going to play in a team where you don't know where your line of confrontation is. You don't know whose job it is to step to pressure, what your checkdowns are in possession. Most coaches out here will assume that they'll give more tools to their players when they bring them in.
Very well put, David. As a defensive midfielder like Jeffrey D is, when you check your shoulder from getting the ball from a center back, you like to have pictures of what you're going to do. And you build those pictures from all the moments you've had with your teammates before. But all of a sudden, you step into a combine game, you check your shoulder, and that picture is totally different. So whereas in a regular game, maybe you can make that decision in a nanosecond, all of a sudden, in an unfamiliar setting where you've never trained or played with the players before, again, it takes 2 or 3 seconds, and that's just too much time as you move up levels. So these coaches scouting and these executives, they know that. They're all taking that into account, and they're looking more for the habits than necessarily the actual play that occurs.
We appreciate you, all of us, joining us here from beautiful Orlando City Stadium here in downtown Orlando for the 2019 MLS Adidas Player Combine. It's been a fun week of competition. The SuperDraft, of course, one of the special moments in the MLS season for these young players, an opportunity to show for their future coaches what their potential professional prospects could be. We'll be back in just a moment here with the second half of play from the first game of the day of the second day of competition of the 2019 MLS Adidas Player Combine.
Hey, 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 channel 1, channel 1. You see me on 1? Channel 1. Hey, hey, hey. See it? Blinking, blinking. We're gonna have to use the stick if that's okay. Until we solve the problem at halftime. Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2. Sorry about that. I don't want to be an announcer though. I just did your thing.
It's okay.
I said test.
You did it very well.
Oh, thanks.
Niels Brunig out of
Santiago Patino, DeJuan Jones, Amar Sadich, Tommy McCabe, and Alex Cumcia. On the other side, what are our subs? Or we don't know. You gotta do that, Tom.
But Bobby, I'm gonna try to make it so you can hear yourself. No promises.
It's all good.
You'll definitely.
Why don't we fix
that
it
part
between
doesn't
games?
matter.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
now this mic sounds awesome.
Good.
You actually sound better than him.
Do you want to just double check what changes I have? Like Pino, Jones, Brunig. So who's it left? No, Kamara's still in there. So the Kamara to left back.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So who's it right back?
Sean McSherry, I think.
Yeah. Doesn't really change.
48's McCabe, right?
Yes. Okay.
Tuomi.
Sadich.
Hey, Tuomi.
48's McCabe. So Kamara's at left back, huh?
Hey.
Right.
Do you need this at all? At some point, so they played 40 minutes last half. I don't know where that came from.
So Chalau's on the left.
Can you text Aleko and ask him how many minutes this half is? When this game's gonna end?
So Moshe's out.
I think Bashi's playing center mid. Shinoshiki's gonna go maybe underneath. And what's his name?
Shinoshiki.
All right, I'm gonna put this on. Welcome back, everybody, for the second half of the first game of the second day of 2019 MLS Adidas Player Combine coverage. Team Nemeziz in blue going right to left on your screens. Trailing Team X in black going left to right. Team X with 2 goals in the first half. Cam O'Reilly in the 20th minute and Andre Shinoshiki, leading goal scorer in college soccer, with the second goal. A beautiful chip over the goalkeeper. Niels Bruning now off the bench, looking to get this thing started early. A number of substitutions here, so we will get you all of the updates in just a moment. One of the things to know about Team Nemeziz in blue, both their starting wingers here, Mo Kamara from the left wing and Sean McSherry from the right wing, have slid back on the field to play at the 2 fullback positions here in the second half. Leonard Hine, the left center back, remaining in for the second half. And then Alex Cumcia from UNC, a Canadian youth international, coming off the bench to start at right center back in place of Prosper Figby. Tommy McCabe there, the crunching tackle, number 48, comes in at central midfield as a substitution for this Team Nemeziz squad. He'll play in midfield alongside Amar Sadich in the holding midfield spot. DeJuan Jones now with the shot, and it goes just wide. DeJuan Jones, a goal in the first game here at the Combine out of Michigan State. And you see there the step over just goes inches wide in the second game. So one of the substitutions for this team, DeJuan Jones coming in at right wing, Nils Bruning at left wing, and Santiago Patino, one of the higher center forward prospects here out of University of Central Florida, a native of Orlando, in at center forward. That midfield Tucker Bone remaining in front of here, Amar Sejdic, partnering Tommy McCabe. Sejdic getting a run out deeper on the field, normally a number 10 in college. Coach is looking at potentially turning him into a number 8 at the next level. McCabe comes over and makes the tackle. On the flip side, one more substitution, Rashid Nuhu out of Fordham University, a native of Ghana, in goal for Team Nemeziz in blue. For Team X in black, a 2-0 lead going into halftime. They won the first game here, 2-0 as well. Boschy gets on the ball. A few changes for this team as well. Reese Buckmaster remaining in at right back. Brendan McDonough remaining in at center back. He'll now partner Callum Montgomery out of the University of Charlotte. Chase Gasper remaining in at left back. In the midfield three, Amir Boschty. You see there sliding infield now, playing in central midfield by this coaching staff. Andre Shinashiki sliding back from the center forward position. He's in that midfield. And, of course, Anderson Asiedu, who has played every single minute of this combine, remaining in here at this defensive midfield position. The changes across the front line, though, on the left side, Hugo Delamy out of Syracuse University on the left wing. Edude Ikibu out of Dartmouth College at center forward. And Don Chalau out of Oregon State at the right midfield position for Team X. Ball over the top here. Jones with a second chance. Knocked down in the box. A slide there from Patino. And in the end, Ben Lunt out of Akron University, Hertha Berlin Academy player, able to make the save.
And a fantastic ball from Sejdic over top. Jones using his pace to run it behind, and a nice ball back, but well dealt with by Team X's back four.
Team X fortunate here to have some continuity. 3 players remaining in along that back line, as well as Anderson Asiedu. Chalau now. His cross put in low. Akubi not able to get the first touch to it. Still chasing, though. Keeps this ball in the attacking third. Chalau back for Asiedu. Asiedu turning upfield into the feet of Boschty. And now cycled back around for Montgomery. Callum Montgomery, left center back in college, one of the best defenders in the nation. Boschty clips this one over the top. Akubi. Kuba there with the long touch. And Bobby, you saw that moment, though. Callum Montgomery, left center back out of Vancouver. Comfortable there, good on the ball. But questions of what his natural foot is, which is a positive.
The highest compliment you could give a center back. He plays left center back, and everyone who had watched him throughout the season thought he was left-footed, but you ask him, and he says, yeah, for the most part, I'm right-footed. And if you look at the positions around Major League Soccer right now, there might not be a dearth anywhere more so than a left center back. So if he looks natural in that position, which he has all season, coaches are very excited about Callum Montgomery right now. He has a promising future in MLS.
Another Canadian center back in this pool, Kamal Miller, who we'll see in the second game for Team Predator. Similar case. Seems like a naturally right-footed left center back who prefers to play on the left side. We have to say a pool of Canadian players, a good set of Canadian talent here at the draft. It sounds like all but one of them will be granted domestic status, so they'll be able to get a green card or some sort of visa to be able to count as a domestic player, both for American clubs and Canadian clubs. A lot of this, though, has been held up due to the shutdown of the U.S. government. A lot of the paperwork and organizations that would normally be handling this, whether it's visas for foreign players coming in, we see it even at the first team level right now of players trying to make signings, or it's these players trying to get their paperwork over the line, they're struggling to get answers or at times just get anything done. So that will hold things up, but the assurances are there for a few of these players that it will get done.
And to add to that, David, as you watch and evaluate these players on today's stream, remember that there's more that goes into them getting drafted and then ultimately signed than just their ability. MLS teams only get a certain number of international spots. They only have certain slots open depending on salary within their roster. So it's hard to say exactly just on performance who will go where when teams do have a little bit of extra information hidden away in their own notebooks.
And for the teams with USL teams that they own and operate, those coaches are here. As McDonough comes over and recovers to save it in front of Patina, those coaches are here, and a lot of these players will sign USL contracts. They won't sign with New York Red Bulls. They won't sign with LA Galaxy. They'll sign with Galaxy 2. They'll sign with New York Red Bulls 2. So they won't even be on the MLS roster this year. Other ones will sign and be loaned down at times throughout the year or for the whole year. So that's another piece of the contract, or the roster situation for a lot of these clubs. Mo Kamara here, we're told, is the one Canadian player in this pool that won't have domestic status, went to college in Canada for Simon Fraser, which Bobby, interestingly enough, is the only foreign school in the NCAA. Division II school starting just a few years ago, but based in Canada. But a number of great players from the GTA area, and Tajon Buchanan, who we'll see in the second game, and Kamal Miller, two Toronto natives as well from the Vancouver area. Alex Kamsia there on the ball, and opposite him, Callum Montgomery. Bone here, floating out wide into the feet of Sejdic. Turned over by McCabe, and now Asaedu charging forward. McSherry cuts in and wins back possession.
As we see Team Nemeziz build from the back, we should take a moment to point out the way their midfield is set up, because specifically right here, Amir Sejdic played most of his time at the University of Maryland in college as more of an attacking player. But as we say, with all of these players coming through, it is very hard in Major League Soccer right now to play as an attacking player. It's where teams are spending their designated player money. So if you think about these skillful players coming out of college, can they find another spot on the field? Can you use their footballing ability? And everyone agrees that Amir Sejdic has plenty of footballing ability to play somewhere else. So in the second half, we are seeing him play as more of an 8-6.
Shinashiki gets to his right foot, puts the shot across, and the offside flag will go up. A goal taken out of the net there by Team X. It looked like Shinashiki shot was going to go in. Maybe I'm wrong. And then knocked in the end, though, by his teammate Ikoba. Eduve Ikoba out of Dartmouth College. And the offside flag goes up. But another good moment there for Shinashiki.
And going right from the Sejdic conversation to Shinashiki, we're seeing the exact same thing. Andre Shinashiki was a center striker in college, but again, teams are spending a lot of money in the international market on their number 9. So one of the big questions about Shinashiki coming into this combine is, can he play another position? Can they use his ability on the ball, his turn of pace, to perhaps play wide? Or here we see him playing as an attacking midfielder or second striker, just a little deeper on the field than he played most of his college career.
And maybe, Bobby, most importantly for a guy like that, because we've seen it now over the past few years, is can you play number 10 for a USL team just to get you minutes because we have a number 9 prospect we like, but if there's an injury at the first team, we're going to bring you up at number 9, right?
Yes.
Like, show that versatility, and as you've said, at times just to be a practice player, to be a squad player, to help the first team.
Well, a big part of getting your legs as a professional is finding any way you can to get minutes, because the only way you can improve is getting on that field. Then you get the sense of the pace of the play, you get a sense of the environment, and then once you do a little better, however you can get on the field, then you start to earn more when it's probably a more natural position. So to all of these young players, I tell them, accept any challenge the coach has given you, take any opportunity you can get with nothing but total eagerness, because then you turn those quick minutes, those slight opportunities, into more.
DeJuan Jones there pushing that one away. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw on the call for you here on MLSsoccer.com. We apologize for any technical difficulties we had in the second half, but we're excited. We've got another half for you, and we've got another game coming up at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time here on MLSsoccer.com. A whole second group of players and some really exciting players for us to see at the first time. Frankie Amaya is going to get a start for Team Predator in central midfield. USU 20 international out of UCLA, one of the Generation Adidas signing, a great young international player, started against Mexico in the U20s CONCACAF World Cup qualifying victory in the championship game. J.J. Williams going to start up top for Team Copa at the University of Kentucky, a Herman Mack finalist, one of the 3 best players in all of college soccer. And then we hope to see a couple minutes of Griffin Dorsey as well. Team Copa has him in the starting lineup as a right back, played most of his college soccer career at right wing. McSherry, another player making a change.
What a pass from McSherry out wide. An excellent move by Patino to do the little dummy to allow it to run on to DeJuan Jones.
Bobby, we talked to a lot of coaches about Santiago Patino. He's one of the best players, best prospects in this draft class, had 12 goals this season in college soccer, 15 goals his junior year when he was first team All-American, but scored every year he was in. And people talked about his ups and downs and how locked in he would be. What can he do for you? And what we've seen here so far is he's done a little bit of everything for his team.
What a lot of coaches around the country use to describe Patino is that he's a man. And sometimes that's worrisome to see somebody that developed come out of college soccer. You say, all right, he bullied younger players who aren't as good as professionals. But with Patino, they say, no, he's a man's man. He's someone that already has the intelligence of a movement. He already has the attitude, and he certainly already has the build and athleticism to go ahead and play with professionals. And you're right, David. Some of the concern is his inconsistency. When he's at his best, one coach said used the line, he scores goals for fun. But when he's not at his best, he really struggles to impact games. And he has a nice opportunity at the Combine to show that when he's playing with better players, he can perform at a consistent level.
And he's just seemed locked in. And he has seemed locked in. And he had the assist for DeJuan Jones in the first game to show he can help those players out. The other player we've heard described that way, J.J. Williams, a physical beast, the guy who puts his body into players, who can control the game with his physicality, scores goals as well consistently. So we're going to get to see him in the second game as well.
And the athleticism conversation around these events, around the draft, are interesting because, yes, a lot of coaches take athleticism as an easy way out and perhaps misevaluate a player based on their athleticism. But on the flip side of that, depending on what you're looking for, if you have a certain profile, and it was a buzzword we heard from a lot of decision makers around these MLS teams, is they're looking for certain profiles out of their players that they're going to pick in the offseason. If the profile you want for that player is pace, is a handful, is able to occupy players or accelerate quickly, then you know what you're getting. That translates from any level onto the professional level. So it's certainly something that coaches are using to evaluate these players.
Gasper coming all the way across the field, winning 2 tackles. Now he lays it in for Chilau. Ball over the top, and Ikoba's attempted volley there doesn't come to.
What a pass from Chilau, who has struggled in the first 2 events at the Combine. And some of the coaches I've talked to, specifically USO ones, are actually okay with him struggling because he's dropping down the draft board. But everyone knows this ability, and that's one we saw there. When he gets in 1v1 situations, when he gets in space, able to pick up his head, he can be very, very dangerous.
And one of the things you mentioned, profile, we're talking about athletes, is, yeah, athleticism isn't everything, but there are some teams where what they are missing is athleticism. And we've talked to Toronto FC, who have mentioned it for their team, a team that has a lot of guys who would like to be on the ball, but maybe not a lot of natural speed.
We should actually quantify that word athleticism. We are using a little broader than it should be used because you're right. They're not looking for generic athleticism. They're looking specifically, a lot of these teams, for soccer acceleration and soccer pace because pace allows you to stretch the field. And once the field's stretched, it gives your soccer players a little bit more room. So right now, yes, there is a dearth of players who can just stretch the field, and maybe they're not great in tight spaces, but they are always a danger in behind, which gives all their teammates more room.
Bashti here on the ball, dropping deeper, trying to show he can play a couple different roles at the next level. Most of his career out on the wing. Bone laying this one back. Jones now once again coming in field. Now Bruning Nils Bruning did a lot of danger down that wing by himself in the first set of games, and the slide tackle there by Reese Buckmaster pushing it out. We've got 2 subs coming on. It looks like Jeffrey D and Logan Gadula are going to check into this one. So Gadula will come on at his natural right back position. In the first game, he started at right back, subbed in at left back. This game starting at left back, subbing in the opposite way for Sean McSherry, and then Jeffrey D comes on for Tucker Bone. So we'd expect to see Amar Sadic push a little higher now, number 42 out of University of Maryland, and D will take over in that deeper role next to McCabe. D coming on and immediately taking the corner kick. Put on the top of the 6. Bobby, how do you rate Tucker Bone's day here in general?
Not as strong as the first day, but still an above-average performance. He's still put in some data points that are going to excite coaches. He's shown his ability to cover ground, his ability to win duels. And what I was really looking for today was, especially early in the game with the grass wet, the ball skipping in difficult situations, he took a couple really nice first touches in trouble, which was one of the questions about his game coming in here.
I have to say, for me, Sean McSherry, one of the better performances today. I thought he read the game well at right midfield, and then coming back, showing his versatility, playing at right back here in the second half. Corner kick coming. It'll be D once again.
Look for Stadic at the top of the box here for a second ball.
Ball popped out. Goes a little wide, so Kamara will be the first one to get to it. Now Gadula had a goal off a corner kick in the first game. Gadula now with a little bit of space. D here, pinching in, gets it into the feet of Patino. Patino with a defender on his back. Now he's got 2. Ends up finding a teammate in an offside position.
And that's a little bit of what coaches really like about Santiago Patino. His ability to use his wide body to pin defenders back. Because especially when you get to the professional level, defenders are excellent at reading your body and finding ways to slither around and get a toe to the ball. But Patino is especially good at holding defenders off and bringing players into the game with him.
Ben Lunt coming in to play the second half of goal here for Team X. Lunt out of Berlin, Germany. He's part of the Hertha Berlin Academy all the way through to their second team. It's interesting, Bobby, with the players, especially in Germany, where there's an established set of second teams that play, quote-unquote, in pro leagues, but as reserve squads or U23 squads, where it stands for the German players and their mentality. So Ben Lunt sent to us, Borussia Dortmund, Schalke, tried to bring me in to try out to be their second-team goalkeepers, but that doesn't get me closer to the first team, so I chose to come here to the United States. Didn't have strongest English language skills when he got here. As Bruning now puts the shot on goal, and Lunt shows what he can do. Diving save for Lunt. Started his college career at Leonard Rhine College before transferring to Akron.
In a fantastic moment here from both Brunig and Lunt. Brunig taking his first touch inside and curling a nice shot far post on target, forces the goalkeeper into a save, but then Lunt showing his shot-stopping ability.
Sadic pushing it wide. D now with the second cross, and it's in the back of the net. Santiago Patino gets his head to it. Right inside the 6. Not much Lunt can do about it at that point. And Team Nemeziz pulls one back.
Patino continues to impress at the 2019 Adidas Combine, this time using his movement to just fade off the defender by a yard, and then his finishing ability to put the angle of the header into the far corner. But also, what a pass to that back post.
By Jeffrey D.
Rebounding from his 2 mistakes earlier. Look, this is the quality that D brings to a game. We saw the mistakes in the first half that led to the goals, but you knew he always had this in him. You give him a yard of space. The technique on this pass to put it into just a foot of space for Patino to get to, a wonderful combination from 2 Nemeziz players.
It's been Team Nemeziz almost this whole second half here, playing higher up the field, more control in central midfield, looking to try and get all the way back and tie this one up.
And we saw something very similar on the first day. And I think it all stems for Team Nemeziz.
DeJuan Jones gets to the end line, almost finds Patino once again, and now it's knocked away.
Very well done by McDonough there, too. In the near post zone, as the strong side defender, reads the flight of that ball from his spot and intercepts it to save a goal. But going back to Team Nemeziz, I do think a big part of their success comes from just the natural footballing brains and abilities of Tommy McCabe at defensive midfield and Amir Sadic right in front of them. Neither is known for their athleticism. Neither really stands out through the flow of the game because they don't do anything spectacular, but they're both just good players. They read the game well. They're comfortable in tough spots. And you add a guy like Jeffrey D, who plays the game in the same way. They're just using their natural ability to dominate the flow of a game little by little.
Hine pushes this one wide. It's been an interesting second half here. Bobby, we've seen DeJuan Jones play inside a lot and allowed Gadula and before McSherry to run that right line, but Jones has come in and played as another midfielder, and you see him picking up the ball here, and that's changed the game for Team Nemeziz.
And you know what I really like about that, specifically in this event, is there isn't going to be anybody here that drafts DeJuan Jones as a starting winger or a natural winger in the way we see maybe a Diego Valeri play. The reason you would draft DeJuan Jones is because of his pace and his singular threat to stretch teams. But that's exactly the way DeJuan Jones has played today. As you said, he's come off that wing, and specifically, he's run in behind teams. He's tried to get off the back shoulders of the outside backs and the center backs rather than coming into the pockets. And that's such a smart move for him in an event like this, to say, I know what you guys want from me, and I'm just going to show it over and over in this game that I have both the wherewithal and the understanding that that's what you want from me, but I can also execute.
Team X back on the ball, Bobby. What do you need to see now? 30 or so minutes left from Team X.
And this is one of those complicated situations at an event like the Combine. If this were a regular game, I'd say lock it down. Outside backs, don't fly forward. Anderson Asiedu.
Shinashiki with a shot on goal, and Nuhu pushes it wide for a corner kick.
Anderson Asiedu, maintain your position, but this game is about more than winning. You do need to show what you can do. So they need to find a balance between the two. I want to show coaches that I understand the moment in the game and when I should go forward, when I should take a chance, but I also want to show them that I can do those things. And it's a complicated matter. But again, David, what a save here on the back post by Nu, but also what a shot from Shinashiki, who has really impressed in his first 65 minutes of the Combine.
Headed away at the near post by Team Nemeziz. Shinashiki, 21-year-old out of São Paulo, Brazil, played for a club called Pequeños in Brazil. Actually was on a trip to Europe with his Brazilian club when a teammate mentioned, I'm going to go to high school in the United States. Found out about that, started to talk to him, got in touch with Montfort Academy, and ended up playing a little high school soccer. Recruited by Denver University, got there, scored 5 goals in his first year, 9 goals in his second year, which was the 7th best scoring season in Denver University history. So what does he do? 9 goals his junior year, and then 28 goals his senior year to set the record. Substitution made by Team Nemeziz in blue. Abdou Mbaki Cham coming back on the field for the first time with Patino. So he'll play at the left midfield position, and Patino will play at center forward still.
You know who Shinashiki reminds me of from last year's Combine?
Chris Mueller?
Chris Mueller.
I knew you were going to say that. I hadn't thought about it until you just said it. Why?
Because of the way they each glide with the ball, but they also have, and I used this line earlier, a turn of pace. And I would provide the comparison to a Jan Baquero from last year's Combine. Everyone knew that Jan Baquero had the ability on the ball. There were just questions if he could use that ability to create space and actually get any room to make a play. Whereas guys like Chris Mueller, who didn't have quite as strong a Combine as Baquero last year, demonstrated that he does have the acceleration to beat players in the final third. And we've seen something similar from Shinashiki, who's shown both his combination of his ability on the ball, but also the acceleration to get away from defenders.
So Anderson Asiedu picks up his first yellow card of the Combine and will sub out for the first time here in the 2019 MLS Adidas Player Combine. Asiedu going the full 90 in the first game. As his coaching staff said, he said he was fine, and we kept him in there as he continued to cruise. He comes off, it looks like Cam Riley will take over as that single pivot defensive midfielder. For Team X, Moshe Perez will come on as that number 10 position in place of Shinashiki, and Kervin Kenton will go in at what he says is his natural left back position here, heading the ball in those orange cleats.
And one thing to look for with Camden Riley, number 86 on Team X, is his ability to read the game out of that lone defensive midfielder position. Because we mentioned Acevedo's ability to cover ground and win his duels, but he was only in a position to do those things because he read the proper situations. And everyone knows that Camden Riley has a similar athletic skill set to Acevedo, but the question is, can he read the game as well? Because if he does get drafted, coaches are going to hope he shows the versatility to not just play as an 8 box-to-box midfielder, but can also help if they're in a jam as a defensive midfielder.
Ball over the top, Lunt's able to take it. Mistake by me, Shinashiki remaining in the game at right midfield, so sliding out wide. So showing that he can play maybe in a third position, and Hugo Delamy coming off the wing as Chilao swaps wings. So Delamy will play in what is his more natural center midfield position. Started his career as a number 10 at Syracuse out of France, played more time at number 6 this year at the 6. As Chilao gets into the box now, one-on-one. Going to get a cross away in the slide tackle. Coming in and blocking his chance. Now Jones trying to play out of the back, and McCabe clips this one over the top.
Great moment from Amar Saditz there. Or was that, was that Saditz or Kamsia?
I think it may have been Kamsia.
You're right. I apologize. But still an excellent moment from Kamsia. 1v1 defending, getting the block in, showing everyone here why he was widely regarded as the best center back in the ACC over the last 2 seasons.
As well as was a PDL Defender of the Year playing up in his native Canada.
It's the yellow boots, David. From up here, the yellow boots threw me off.
Kamsia, North Vancouver, British Columbia native, played PDL for a number of years, actually went over after playing in the Vancouver Whitecaps Academy to France, where he has a passport through his mom, speaks fluent French, and played for Strasbourg's academy. Took a little time to get his paperwork, but once he did, he actually ended up captaining their reserve team in a couple games, was sitting on the verge of a contract, wasn't sure what would happen, had already been recruited by UNC, and then came back. So he has both French and Canadian citizenship, born in Canada to a Canadian father and a French mother, has represented Canada at the U20 level as well as at the Pan Am Games, which were hosted in Toronto. He said his number one sporting experience, 23,000 fans to see them play against Brazil. It's Brazil, so it didn't go so well, but that's still a special experience for a young player. Kenton here holding the defender off his pass back in a dangerous position. McDonough comes over and recovers it. Now Montgomery plays out of the back, and Montgomery and Kamsia, as I've said, 2 Canadian center backs, maybe the highest rated in this draft. Kamal Miller, maybe in that conversation as well. All 3 of them coming in from Canada.
There's the sauce from Kamara that we've heard so much about.
Brunig now has some time and space. He's been good in these situations already. Trying to find Kamara. Now the shot, and it's into the safe arms of Ben Lunt.
And the wrong pass selection there from Brunig, not in the decision to play Kamara, but you have to understand in that moment, if your teammate's going to take a one-time strike, the type of pass you need to give him. Here we see Brunig bouncing it just a little too fast, and Kamara couldn't actually get a swing on it before Delamy steps in.
And one of the things we saw in the first game was Brunig being a little bit quicker with his decision-making there as well, right? As the defense is still in transition, making the decision to give your teammate a little bit more of a chance rather than holding it up there, allowing the defense to recover. Brunig, another one of those players coming to college soccer from Germany. Brunig out of Hamburg, played in the Hamburg Academy, has played here, PDL 2 years, and trialed with a couple MLS teams as well. A few injuries, but in his latest season, 19 starts, 6 goals and 4 assists. McCabe, the long switch. Gadula trying to get over that one.
And we haven't seen a poor pass from McCabe this half yet. And it's a really interesting day for Tommy McCabe, especially in reference to Brad Dunwell, who we'll see in the second game. Dunwell, defensive midfielder, Wake Forest. As you talk to coaches, both coming into the combine.
Patino here coming back and winning that one. Tries the back heel for Kamara.
And at the combine, there is a question. If you're looking for a steady Scott Caldwell-type center midfielder, are you going to take Dunwell or McCabe? McCabe with a strong performance so far in this game.
Shinoshiki's cross is blocked. Bruning coming back. Has it taken off his feet by Riley. And then Hine with the recovery tackle. So a lot of these players here. Last opportunity to show off for these MLS coaches as Reese Buckmaster has some space. Lays it off for Perez. Perez here with 3 defenders around him. He keeps possession, clips it back, laid off and blocked shot. A second chance off the ground, hits the crossbar.
Excellent moment from Ikoba. Doesn't get the goal, but just shows his presence in the box and the creativity to go for the bike. But here we see, David, Nemeziz coming down the other way.
Beautiful pass from Mbaki Cham up the field. Patino's got a defender around him. Take a look at this replay. The first shot blocked on the ground, Ikoba.
And also, so well done from Logan Gadula. 1v1, staying man-to-man with Ikoba.
Sadic there, pushed away. Eduve Ikoba, injured this year. Only ended up playing 6 games for Dartmouth. Had 5 goals in those 6 games. Was first team All-Ivy. Incredible performance for the 6'4" forward. Out of Dartmouth and originally out of Iowa.
And here we say, going from Logan Gadula, this time to Reese Buckmaster. And somehow, David, we've made it 73 minutes in this game and we haven't used our line for the year.
It's the year of the fullback, and I am pretty excited about it.
That's exactly right. Logan Gadula, Akeem Ward, Chase Gasper, on
Abdi
and on.
Mohammed
Abdi
in the
Mohammed.
second game that we'll see another one of those good players.
And in this moment, we saw Reese Buckmaster. And Buckmaster's defining trait compared to the others is he's a more old-school outside back. He's a more natural defender, whereas you hear the word a modern fullback about a lot of these guys. Buckmaster is more of a stay-at-home defender.
Buckmaster playing opposite Andrew Gutman at Indiana. Gutman 11 goals, 9 assists, so that team was shifted toward the left in the way they attacked. Buckmaster more sliding inside and covering when he had to as McCabe clips this one in. Bobby, I think that's all we're going to see from Andre Shinosiki. What do you make of his one day of combine play?
A very, very strong performance. And when we watched Denver's games preparing and then talked to college coaches who faced him, there was a very real question about how he performed against the more elite teams in college soccer. He scored a ton of goals, but they were top-heavy toward the teams that weren't as good. But once he did face Maryland, Stanford, he often came up goalless. So to see him come out here today...
I thought you said big schools. Sorry, had to make a dig at
So when he
Stanford.
did come out here today, and he was playing against the best of the best in college soccer, he dominated. For my money, David, the best player on the field, or at least certainly the most pro-ready looking, and then he got a gorgeous goal to his name. So not much more Andre Shinosiki could have hoped for in his 74 minutes.
I absolutely agree with you. A really good day for the young Brazilian, and we'll see what his draft prospects will look like and where he lands. That one coming up on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on MLSsoccer.com and all the MLS social channels. Make sure to stick with us as Nuhu spills that one and sees it go just inches wide of that far post. Fortunate for Rashid Nuhu.
But a good moment from Don Chalal, who was playing on the left compared to the right winger position he took up on the first day. And this is what he does. A 1v1 specialist who can make things happen. There gets a yard of space and a nice low dipping shot to the far post.
It looks like Delamy and Perez will go over to that far side to take this one.
Delamy regarded by many as the best set-piece taker in college soccer this season.
Delamy's service low on the top of the 6. No one there to clean it up for Team X, and now Team Nemeziz in blue already breaking out. Patino on the far side, and Kenton makes the key tackle to put it out of bounds. Just a couple minutes left to play here. Don't forget, we've got another game coming up for you at 12:15 Eastern Time on MLSsoccer.com. We've got another set of players looking to make a difference here and show off well for these coaches as Bruning clips this one back in and Riley comes back and recovers. So Tajon Buchanan and Frankie Amaya, 2 Generation Adidas signings, one a Canadian, one a U.S. Youth International, will be on the field for Team Predator in red. Those are two of the players, Bobby, that FC Cincinnati with the number 1 pick have mentioned as guys that could potentially fill that spot for them. As this one goes off the post, and it'll be out for a goal kick, a big opportunity there. The other big name we've heard is Saeed Haji, and he will be out there as well in that next game. Griffin.
And here we see Team X beginning to go into game management mode. They're up 2-1. What's the decision you're going to make? You do want to show your ability, but now that we're into the final minutes, Team X making the smart decision, pushing up their lines and not taking a risk in back.
Chase Gasper here has slid in to right center back for Team X alongside Callum Montgomery. Montgomery here on the back of Patino. It's been a good battle here in the second half, Bobby, between Patino and Montgomery. Two of the better specialist, professional ready players at their position. Bruning now back on the ball. Finds the feet of Mbaki Cham. Riley comes over to help. Gasper cleans it up, but still in danger. Bruning cuts it back to the top of the box. Trying to float it to that far post, and Hine easily takes the pass off the foot of McCabe. Now Kenton and Chilao coming forward on this left wing. Chilao cycles possession in through the feet of Delamy. Delamy, a teammate of Mo Adams, who was a Generation Adidas signing last year out of England on the Chicago Fire. Cadona gets by the first defenders, pass blocked. Back on the ball, and eventually Kamsia is able to guide that one out. But he was a teammate of Mo Adams. Mo Adams left, and he slid back from the number 10 position to that holding midfield, defensive midfielder spot for Syracuse, and played strong there, but slowly found his feet as the year went on.
That's exactly right. And a very good passer on the ball, a good striker, excellent range to what he does. And Syracuse has really become one of the prime college factories for turning out professional players in recent years.
Alex Bono, of course, a graduate of Syracuse, playing and winning an MLS Cup for TFC. And we see Kamal Miller, who will be a first-round pick at center back. Tajon Buchanan, who, as I mentioned, a Generation Adidas winger/forward, one of the more electric players in this pool, coming out of Syracuse as well. Gasper wins the first header. Sadic now switches the field. ACC champion with Wake Forest, Logan Gadula. Now DeJuan Jones in a battle here with Perez. He's able to earn the free kick. McCabe here, able to look up and see the whole field. All 11 players basically back behind the ball for Team X defensively. Someone knocked off the feet of Sadic. Hine.
Didn't love that decision from Hine there, David. He had plenty of room on the other side of the field if he was able to get the ball onto his front foot and switch the field.
And that's part of, I think, what we've heard with him being maybe a better pro than college soccer player. I think in college soccer, the expectation for his team was, in a moment like this, you're going to play the final ball. We need your quality to do something for us, where as a left center back, your job is to switch the field, get it to a holding midfielder like a Will Trapp, who's going to make something happen for us.
Yeah, a guy like Will Trapp is not going to be too happy if you decide to go for that pass instead of, maybe Will Trapp's a bad example since he's such a nice guy.
Cadono here. Cuts by the first defender, has some space. Shot blocked by Kamsia.
And a good moment from Cadona, who's had a relatively quiet 2 games. But this is twice now. He's gotten the ball wide and made something happen.
Shinya Cadono, out of Irvine, California, born in Japan originally. Playing his career at Cal, 12 goals to assists this year. He was all Pac-12. Patino in the box, doesn't get his touch right, and Montgomery clears it away. Final moments of the second half here. Team X, 2 goals in the first half. The opener by Cam Riley in the 20th minute. The second by Andre Shinashiki in the 36th minute, assisted by Anderson Asaedu and then Santiago Patino with the goal in the second half to pull Team Nemeziz halfway back, but they couldn't get all the way. Bobby, big takeaways from this one.
The big winners today, as we already mentioned, Andre Shinashiki cemented his place somewhere in the top 10, might have even pushed up toward the top 5 on his team. Anderson Asiedu, another strong performance. And Chase Gasper, a quietly nice day. For Team Nemeziz, Tucker Bone, a nice 55 minutes. And Tommy McCabe came on to put in a strong 45 at the end and really make a statement for himself at defensive midfield.
Coming up in 45 minutes, 3 players vying for the number 1 spot in the MLS SuperDraft. Tajon Buchanan, Frankie Amaya, and J.J. Williams we'll see out here at Orlando City Stadium. Thanks so much for joining us here on MLSsoccer.com. For myself, David Goss, Bobby Warshaw, of course, our head producer, Abner Aceves. Thank you so much for watching, and stick around. We'll be back in just a few moments with their second game.
That was good, dude.
Yeah.
We're getting there.